All right, so the man who is kicking up a storm now in Welsh Rugby League came to record a podcast, and he wanted me on as a guest for this podcast. So I obliged, and I talked and waffled at him for a long time, about an hour and a half, I think we spoke. But Ollie goes way back with me, right? I've got some Welsh connection. My mum's Welsh. She's from Wrexham, which they say it's plastic Wales up there. It's not as real, apparently, as being down in the valleys in South Wales. So we had Ollie into Weetwood Hall podcast studio, and we recorded a podcast. The reason we go back is because we played as halfback partners back in the day for the Leeds Rhinos under 20s. It was flipping some of the best moments of my life, and we killed it, to be fair, carved it up. So we talk about a little bit of that journey and how much we've changed as people, almost changed as rugby players as well. So it's been a marvellous chat, and I think you're going to enjoy it for where we go. We go all over the place, but all of it is talking about growth as human beings, and Ollie is on his own journey. So he wanted me to tell him a little bit about my journey, and we swap stories, and we delve into some nostalgia too. Enjoy. Welcome to the Mantality podcast. We're recording at the incredible Weetwood Hall Hotel podcast studio. This is a podcast that goes way beyond stigma. We talk about men's mental health and mindset. We encourage the type of conversation that will open you up to another way to live life, another way to see yourself and the world around you. If you are ready for that, you're in the right place. I'm Stevie Ward, and I'm an ex-professional rugby league player and captain, and now I guess I'm a bit of a podcaster, a speaker, actor, writer, entrepreneur. I'm still working all that out, but at Mantality we help men take control of their mindset by teaching them to find purpose, resilience, and what I believe is the new success: inner peace. That sounds good. If you are that guy who is waking up to the fact that they need to do something different in life and the same old habits aren't working for you, it might be time to step up. If you want to start your journey with us, you can go to mantality.co.uk/coaching to join the best team you have ever seen.
Stevie, brother, this has been a long time coming, and first and foremost, thank you for letting me use your venue to do this podcast.
Nice.
And yeah, what can I say, man? I'm grateful for you to obviously let me use it, like I said, and more importantly, your journey alone has been amazing. And I've known you since Leeds Rhinos 20s days. And
Leeds Rhinos 20s. How old were you then?
I came over, I was 17, and I remember everyone couldn't understand me. Probably still can't now. All the Yorkshire lads used to say, he
You put
sounds weird.
subtitles on that, Jim, just for...
But man, thank you so much first and foremost for letting me use you. How are you doing?
It's class. Weetwood Hall Hotel looked after Mantality, looked after me, he's a good guy here, the hotel manager, Steve Kershaw. He looks after the rugby players that end up crooked and flipping battered and stuff, and you know, we all swarm up here because he's a top guy. But they've a massive thanks and shout out for this podcast room. But no, it's good, mate.
How's life been?
How's life been? It's good. You know what I mean? It's all right. It's good. It's changing all the time.
Yeah.
Scary all the time. Exciting all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps changing. You know, that's one thing that I've been thinking a lot. Like, my mind changes a lot. And stuff. And I think we don't allow ourselves to speak enough truth in the moment. You know, it goes to that thing where how are you doing? I'm fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you fine though? You know, I mean, that's barely scraping the surface, you know. But I think if we were talking a bit before about mental health and what it means and what it is, and we were saying it's just life basically. But I think, you know, in terms of breaking the stigma of mental health and going somewhere and making things better for people, I think we just need to start telling the truth as well.
Yeah. Oh, massively. I think going back to myself now, going back into the Welsh camp, just the conversations, we're quick to, take the piss out of each other at times. But if someone said something, outside of footy or rugby, sometimes some of the boys don't know how to react to that. And sometimes it is just a simple, what's that? Explain that more.
Yeah.
Deeper into that. And people think that's mental health, but no, that's just real connection with someone and real friendships. So and I think, man, I'm grateful for you, Stevie. I really am, mate. Like I said, known you since the 20s days, and now I'm in my late 20s, and so are you. And the journey you've been on, mate, and it's truly inspiring.
Thanks,
not just as a footballer, but as a person. I think I was thinking about it on the drive over to Leeds today. I think life for you, I think you have so much to offer this world outside of sports. I think, you've been blessed with sports and the ability to do the journey that you've done, and you can potentially use that platform now to preach more on these topics, and in particular your journey. But someone of your caliber speaking up about concussions, in particular life, emotions, like we just said, your mind, your thoughts change all the time. And for you, brother, to say that, you'll just give, Mrs. Jones or anyone that opportunity to speak up. So I'm grateful, brother. I'm really grateful.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that.
And even when you come to Australia, you came over there. I think was it with Mantality then doing that?
For about a year, Mantality had been going.
And you came over and did a little bit of traveling of Australia.
2017, yeah.
I think you just you had a shoulder surgery then.
Just had the shoulder surgery.
And you caught up with a couple of my Welsh friends, and
yeah, man, they were class.
And you just slipped in like you were one of the boys, you know what I mean? And that just shows the person you are, that we have egos, we have some form of, if you've done something in life, sometimes people carry that, they puff their chest out, but you didn't have that at all.
Yeah. And
that speaks volumes to me as a person you are, friendship and how you look at life.
Yeah, man. I just like to think that in rugby, when you're running through the tunnel of bags, and there's people set adjacent behind each other, left and right, and you're running through these different tackle bags and you're getting through to the end. I'd like to think that in my mind, I've got less of those pillars that stand so strong that you can't change your mind, or this is who you are and this is what you've got to be, and this is, those things which I guess in your mind that you can bounce upon or bounce off and sort of stay stuck to one pattern of thinking and one sort of version of thought. I think I've been open to not having that, and not having to be so rigid in my thinking.
Yeah.
And I think ever since, Mantality, when launching Mantality, I still thought that I'd find the answer of well-being and what achieving to get to a place of real fulfillment. Even when I launched Mantality, I thought that's what I was going to find, but you find a lot more, which is a lot more worthwhile, to be honest.
100%. I think one thing I've learned and seeing what you do, opening up and being your true self, it's fulfilling feeling. It's a feeling that I can't really put words on, but then you see other people wanting to grow, understand themselves more, and the reward you get from helping others is something I can't even put into words. You can play sports and you'll get that mad adrenaline rush and that mad high from a game, and the rush that the dump that comes off it after the game is quite, it's not nice. It's like the blues. You know what I mean? You get the blues as such, but when it comes to helping, supporting, learning, developing, growing as a person, those things they stick there. But for instance, yesterday I played the rugby league again for a long time, and for a long time I have had that gap, and we lost yesterday to the Cook Islanders, but I enjoyed the game. It was good fun, and my phone was blowing up today now. I was driving here again because I had time on my hands, and I find that sometimes you can listen to your voice or turn the music off. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know, you can't ride these highs and ride these lows. You've got to learn to be neutral through these situations.
100%.
And if you can learn to be neutral for these situations, you know, you're not relying on those highs
Yeah, man.
to get you back up.
It's a different type of resilience. That.
It is, but it's been hard. So
Yeah.
going back to you, Stevie, obviously I've known you since younger days, and to be honest, you know, growing up, you were like Stevie Ward. You know, you had that name tag of the next Kev Sinfield as well.
Yeah.
How, obviously from the outside in, I think everyone looked at this guy like, you know, so resilient, and yeah, that's me, you know, and you wouldn't say those words, but the way you played and the way you carried yourself, I wonder how that pressure on yourself, that being the next Kev Sinfield, did that ever weigh on you?
It's weird, yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that. I don't know. I imagine it did. I imagine it changed my behaviour, and I imagine it, you know, that label, I guess, puts you where you aspire to, you know, and what you should be, and how you should be. I think for a long time, I enjoyed proving people right. You know, I enjoyed being someone who would be talked about before you play them. You know, and sort of you got this pressure on you that you need to fulfill, or you need to sort of rise to, and I'd be after it. You know, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it, which was all well and good. And you know, I remember that I think as a person, whether all that stuff that you mentioned comes into it, I'd be ready to go to war before games. Like, and I'd never understand people who weren't, you know, and I'd think that they didn't take it serious enough, you know, and that would be my lead up, and I'd be prepared to, well, go to war, you know, and to put myself out there, and that would be the ritual or the mindset that I'd get into, and there'd be nerves and the anxieties and the stuff, but I had the illusion that that's what was needed for me to go out and compete and to play, because a few times, I remember when I was younger, a few times I'd felt like I'd been soft, or I'd missed tackles, it was my mind setting standards, you know, and saying that is not acceptable. Any place, any occasion, whether you're playing at Stanley in front of 200 people or whatever, or you're playing in front of 20,000 people, that was just the standard that I got to. And it was a rehearsed mindset that I'd get into to get myself ready for a game and make sure that I'd perform. And I thought that that's what was needed, and it probably wasn't needed. But as soon as I get on the field and I'd have the ball in my hands, a different version of myself would take over.
Yeah.
You know, that version when you're younger, who just takes the ball and doesn't think about anything, doesn't think about where you're going to run or how you're going to step off your right foot or how you're going to go through the line. It just happens, and it unfolds in front of you, and it unravels. And the next thing, you feel free, and you feel exhilaration, and you feel you can hear the crowd, and it's like this moment in time which is just happening as you're observing it and watching it, you know. And I'm sure you felt it all throughout your career. And those moments would happen, and I'd almost come back to consciousness, like celebrating with lads. I'm like, fucking hell, that was good. That was naughty, that, you know, and I'd feel class about it. That's when your ego comes back in, and you start making sense of what happened. So yeah, I mean, the sort of feeling growing up and having that, I did thrive off it. To be honest, I did thrive off the expectation of it. But I think it's when that formula, as I said, that mindset going into games, and the sole achievement that I'd get from it, from putting myself out there and from putting myself through the hurt locker and getting the rewards. When I couldn't get the rewards because I was injured and I got a load of injuries, that's when things in the game plan that I had for life wasn't working anymore, you know.
How did you find growing up, for instance? I know I don't know your parents personally, but I know of your parents from growing up. But was there ever that pressure of family as well? Because I find, you know, you've been from Leeds. Leeds Rhinos is everything here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that external pressure from family as well?
Do you know what's good? I only ever felt support from them. Do you know what I mean? Which I think's helped me as a rugby player, but also helped me now.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It's almost like I'm so lucky to have had that support
Yeah.
because it's almost unconditional. Do you know, like, and they support me everywhere. They take me everywhere, and there's another version where I'm becoming this thing, and you know, I'm generating these performances and generating this name that I could have it applied, that pressure applied from my parents and family around me, but it was always just how I felt. It was always just support and just like letting me go into it, do you know, which felt good.
Yeah.
Felt good.
You know, then obviously when you came to because you won trophies pretty early in your career as well when you debuted. How old were you when you debuted?
18.
18, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then was it that year, the next year you won?
So it was 18. I made my debut when I was doing my A levels, 16 to 18, and I was juggling full time training. And then I made my debut when I just turned 18. You know, first year after turning 18. Played a few games, fucking hell, and I was playing six as well. And I remember the form or the conviction that I had when we played back in the 20s, just falling over into that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was tearing it up. I was going through the line and that.
Unbelievable. I remember even playing reserve grade with you, and you'd come back, if you had a couple of games at first grade, you'd come back and you would like glide, and then just wait for someone to turn their hips on you, and you just put a ball someone through. And I just felt like people knew the potential, or not even the potential, they knew the skill set you had. So people would want to try and smack you.
And
when that happened, you had that vision of just putting the short ball on. At the same time, you're a big bugger too. You had always had a big ass.
Big ass. I was going to say, I want a big bugger. I had a big ass.
Big fat ass. Nicki Minaj be jealous of that one.
Mate, that's how I made my career, probably. You know what I mean? That's how Nicki's made her career, probably, as well.
I noticed you on TikTok shaking it. Nah, but you know, and just obviously you took that then into first grade, and then you started winning comps. You know, you're playing with Kev, Rob, Jamie Peacock, Hardacres, Lulu Eyes. You know,
it was a week after winning or getting my A levels. I played in Challenge Cup final. Played at 6 Challenge Cup final.
Unbelievable.
And I remember nerves for that day. I was like, I've never been as nervous in my life. I can remember being in flipping toilet before a game, like feeling a sense of, well, it must have, I didn't even know what anxiety it was, but it was anxiety. You know, it was like that flipping dizziness, and it was like taking my fourth shit of the hour. You know, and so we lost that game, but sort of fell into playing back row then. And then won the grand final when I was 18 at the back end of that year, and it was flipping outstanding. It's the meteoric rise that I'd always planned or always wanted. Do you know what I mean? And always people had probably expected as well.
Yeah.
You know, so when life goes like that, you're laughing.
But at obviously a young age, you know, you're not the brain itself is not fully developed of dealing with these highs and these lows. And do you think, you know, it can kind of get overwhelming at times because you know you're so used to that? It's technically like a drug without it being a drug. You know what I mean? You're chasing that that dopamine, that serotonin highs that sport can get you. Do you think? Yeah, you know, when it came to later on, obviously in the career, not, you know, it was a bit harder to get to those finals. Did you ever think this is just going to happen all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I had an injury, done my shoulder. The first time I ever done my shoulder, dislocated my shoulder and damaged all nerves down it. Played World Club Challenge, and it was in similar fashion to what we were just talking about. And then a few games later, I did my shoulder at Hull KR. Missed rest at season, and then came back in 2014. And I couldn't put any size on, and I was in pain all the time. And I was in and out of the team. I wasn't as strong as I was when I was 18. Even though I was a skinny little boy, I shouldn't have been allowed on the field. I was still strong, and I could still do it. Sometimes I don't know if that's just from sheer intent and all that, but yeah, you know, getting that 2014 period, I was depressed, mate. I was depressed. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my values. I didn't know. My self-esteem was so flimsy because all I ever was, or ever I wanted to be, was a rugby player. So when that was taken away, and it was like there and not there. It was dark. It was dark, mate. And yeah, I didn't have the. I guess I want the wonder kid right in that moment. I want being built up, and I want reciprocating it and fueling that cycle and what I'd always done. So it was the first time where I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
what about this? And so yeah, I'd had a crazy time, mate.
Yeah.
Crazy time as a young kid, and a different. But as you say, you're still forming your brain, aren't you?
course.
You know, you're still forming your brain,
Yeah.
and I guess loads of those things that happened, although I can hardly remember them,
Mm.
are the army. Do you know, they're part of me now.
Of
So
course. How do you think you dealt with it? How did you deal with those depressive times? How did you? Do you think you masked it?
yeah, well, I didn't, I was just in fear, mate. I was just in fear all the time. I didn't know what I was feeling. No one spoke about mental health, so I was just like, just staying around the lads and just mucking about and
Mm.
doing all the things that you'd expect, you know, messaging birds all the time,
Mm.
you know, using that thrill of that and training and taking a lot of physio and
Yeah.
just everything on the physical. Do you know what I mean? Everything that's in the immediate reach, the immediate dopamine hit. I was probably doing at that time, trying to configure what was going on.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy to look back at that now, though, right? When you're in the moment, you're kind of just trying to survive,
Yeah.
trying to get away from that
Yeah, yeah.
feeling. It's interesting, man. Like it's so good to you to open up like this and talk about these things. And I think it gives, these other players who are in professional environments or even aspiring to be in those environments, to realize, highs and lows happen regardless. I think
Yeah, no
sometimes
matter what you do
think
or who you are.
sports players think that they think sports players are invincible, but you probably get more.
Yeah,
It's a roller coaster from Monday to Friday before
yeah,
the game day. If you've had a shit game, you've got the social media world involved now
yeah,
where they're
yeah, yeah,
bagging you out.
yeah. Well, this is the thing, you know. This is what annoys me a little bit, and it goes back to what we are saying about telling the truth. Like, I'm not opening up here. This is just my life now.
It's just talking.
This is just talking. This is just being on. I don't feel any nerves. I don't feel any fear.
Yeah.
I don't feel any. I don't care what people think about me.
Yeah.
Saying what I'm saying to you right now. It's just like it's just normal. You know, it's not for me. It's not opening up and the narrative or the world of being a sportsman or sports person. People need to tell the truth more.
Mm. Yeah.
Because if we don't start telling the truth and start being more honest about who we are, how we feel, and what the actual journey is, then we're selling a lie
Yeah. Yeah.
to people.
100%.
And all this stuff with concussion going on now, and everyone's like, you knew what you're signing up for, or you deserve, basically saying you deserve what you've got.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've managed to live your dream, and you've managed to do what they'd only dream of doing. It's like, well, there's a bit in the middle that we're missing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because everyone's getting sold a dream.
Mm.
Do you know? Everyone's getting sold an illusion.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes I just see it clear as day. I'm just like, why are we lying? Like I see people like who I know have been done over in sport.
Yeah.
And they've had the worst time, and they'll come out and on Twitter and say it's been amazing. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on? what we doing?
Yeah. Just hiding it.
Yeah. What to what end?
Mm. So obviously with yourself, obviously with the concussions and everything that's going on now, I just seen you yesterday, a photo up of, is it table talk?
Yeah, round table. Yeah,
Round table, sorry.
Yeah.
Explain a bit of that, man.
It was down in what do you call it? Houses of Parliament. And I just got invited along to go and sort of speak about lived experience, you know, of an athlete that's got a brain injury or post concussion syndrome. And I went down and just voiced my lived experience, I guess. And it's similar to the wavelength to what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I think about like player welfare and I think about well-being, and I hear about it, spoken about it a lot. And there are some things that, you know, before I go on any further, you know, RL Cares, I know are doing a lot of work and they're supporting players mentally and they're on to transition and they're helping people out in transition. And at Rhinos, we could see a sports psychiatrist and there's a welfare manager, and the culture's been really opened up at Leeds. And, you know, I think alongside with Mantality and as a captain and stuff, the culture and the normality of speaking about mental health in that world that I know has been a lot better.
Yeah.
But I know it's not the same in other places.
Oh yeah.
I know it's not the same in any other sports. So we live in this world where there's headlines or there's shortcuts that people take in their mind to understand what it's like to be a sportsman or what it's like to be, you take it into life, what it's like to be transgender or what it's not to be and people have these headline sort of understandings of what these things are because we do it as a survival mechanism in our brain as humans. But then I see the bit in between which no one talks about and that no one airs out and stuff like that. And going down there yesterday, I'm just like, in terms of rugby league, we have a cap on the salaries that we can earn. We don't have a cap on the contact and the tackles that you can make. And I know, I mean, I don't know if it's just me that understands it's happening, but there's people dying and there's people getting really ill. Do we just do it? What do we do? Do we just do it willy-nilly till forever? Do you know what I mean? I don't. This is what I'm trying to. I'm trying to understand. And I know players. There's a need for player well-being.
Of course, 100%.
There's a need, and
I think it's that comes again though into that jeopardy of putting the game in a bad image.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's pros and cons to life in any aspect. If you're a builder on site, wherever, there's pros and cons. Yeah, you make mind that the cons are when you're older, your body's going to be a bit ruined from lifting, manual labor. So there's pros and cons. We all know that, and people speak up about that.
Yeah.
It's the same again with sports, rugby league, boxing, everything. But like you said, speaking up on these topics, it's not putting it in bad jeopardy. It's just being honest. It's like, I'm going to tell you the good. This sport has made me who I am, as in it's gotten the best out of me in my sporting aspect. But at the same time, the cons are I've come out of a sport with this concussion injury that is something that's potentially can be with me forever.
Yeah.
Why can't I speak up on that and tell it is frightening. It is scary. But am I proactive about trying to work on it, educate myself, develop knowledge more? You know what I mean?
Make things better.
Why can't you do that?
Yeah.
And if you speaking up on a podcast or you speaking up with people down there in the parliament, you're bringing more awareness to it to get it more. It's a weird one, man. I noticed that the other day. I don't want to take off the story with you, Stevie. We'll continue. But even the other day, we had in the Welsh camp now with the World Cup, we had Movember, and they were talking about mental health. And I was sitting there listening to the guy, and the guy did a great job. And he had a couple of questions asked the audience, and it was like really simple questions. Since COVID, have you picked up any bad habits? And you could just feel this energy in the room, just like, whoa, like the tension. Close up. And I was like, obviously, I was very comfortable in this space. I was like, I'm on my phone far too much than I used to be. Have you picked up any skills since this period? Yeah. I've learned how to meditate. I'll journal more. I'll exercise. I'll find other avenues which will help my well-being. I'll eat cleaner food. I'll drink more water. Really basic things.
Yeah.
But for someone to speak up about that so honestly, and it's as if we can't talk about that, but we can talk about getting on the piss on the weekend, sleeping with girls, doing dumb shit, and we talking about porn all the time and stuff like that. And it's like, hang on, if that's okay to talk about, well, why isn't it okay to talk about, I'm struggling today, or why are you struggling? Or might have had an argument with your partner last night and you haven't addressed it, or you know what I mean? It's not something you've got to.
Mate, it can seem so hard and so complicated to try and tackle, but people just need to. What we're talking about is culture. You know what I mean? We're talking about the way that culture is. People like us do things like this, right? So what you need to do to change it is to introduce vehicles alongside sport, I think, where these conversations are normal and they're happening all the time. So when you get to 22 and you're sat and someone's asking you about bad habits, and you're like, fuck yeah, I do go on my phone too much. Or yeah, I'm watching way too much porn at the minute, you know, or I don't know what, anything, right? So you don't get to a point where you're so scared of being vulnerable and so scared of telling the truth that you'd rather flipping end it instead of being here. Do you know what I mean? People are scared to death. They're scared, and they fear it so much. So it's like, just bring it more into, even saying mental health scares people.
Yeah.
The word mental health scares people, and people don't access it because it's scary.
Yeah, I know. But for instance, right, you broke your arm, and we seen you in a cast here, right? And you tried to lift this table. I'd get you out of the way, and I go,
Yeah.
I'll lift that for you, Stevie. And thing, because we can't see what's going on up here, we don't know how to judge the situation. So we, you know, we get bearded by someone just being a bit off today, a bit more quieter, or it could be the opposite. They're extra loud. They're extra loud in an audience because they're trying, you know, that's how they cope with it.
You know where the part where it gets messy. This is where I'm trying to put my thoughts into now, and what I've been thinking about for a while is, when do you introduce the option to be vulnerable, or when do you introduce the option to speak about how you're actually feeling? And I think naturally you do it as a kid when you're born, when you've been brought up, and then there's a part as a man, I'm speaking about as a man, where you need to leave the constant care of your mother, and you need to go and take risk, and you need to go and become a man. So we've not got the rites of passage anymore, you know, rugby and different stuff like that. Although be it sometimes twisted in the way they do it, you come through and you get to the part of being a man. And within that is that discipline and dedication and toughness, resilience, and ability to keep going through life's challenges. That's needed. You know, that's needed as the backbone. But when do you introduce, right, look, that's going to get you so far, but this is life now. This is how we act in life now.
Yeah.
You know, when does that happen? And I think it's a massive conversation to be had, and I don't think it's being had enough. At the Parliament the other day, they're saying there's 2.5 million brain traumas a year, right? So you hear that, there's 100,000 incidences of heart disease, right? No one cares about talking about heart disease or getting treatment for that, but most of those brain traumas, no one knows how to deal with them. No one knows how to speak about them. No one even know. You go to doctors, no one knows how to treat it.
Yeah, well.
So what are we living in? We're living in a world which is, I don't even know what it is. It's fear or it's delusion.
Yeah. Are you scared when the doctors don't know answers to stuff? When you found out about your circumstances, what was your feeling? How were you feeling at that time?
Oh mate, I felt, along the journey, I felt depressed. I felt flipping scared to death. I felt, I felt anxious. I felt confused. I felt disinterested. I felt, you know, all the labels that had come in. Am I being soft? You know, all these things that had come in, because I'm like trying to work out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
But now I'm sort of what we were talking about earlier in terms of busting through life's challenges. That's starting to come in now as I'm feeling like I can be more active in life.
Yeah.
You know, so just like going through a line or making 50 tackles at weekend, that's how I feel now with this challenge. But that's coupled with being able to speak about it and be open about it, and speak about the variety of feelings that I've had.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
a two-pronged attack. Probably more than two-pronged attack, but as far as I'm getting right now, that's how I understand it.
Yeah. And did you ever have any form of resentment to rugby league at one stage?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like right now, it's like speaking to an ex-girlfriend. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've said this story. It's just weird how you're saying that. Me going back to rugby league, I said it's like going back to an ex. You just
Yeah.
it feels weird.
Yeah, we're all right now. We're working things out, and we know we love each other. And I might be getting back with it. Who knows? But you know, it's like if I were going to sit here and say that I'd not resented it
Yeah.
because of all the pain it's caused me and my family,
Mm.
I'd be lying. It has made me feel resentment to it and fear and hurt. You know, I've been hurt by it.
Yeah. I think obviously what you've gone through, man, I don't know your partner, man, but they say, you know, every man is a strong woman behind them.
She's stronger than me.
Yeah.
Stronger than me, yeah.
And even just, you know, hearing a couple of stories with her talking, you know, you got to have so much gratitude and empathy to that woman.
Yeah.
She's a tough woman at it, you know, still both young in their lives. And I think we forget about you don't forget about them, but, you know, people are just seeing what, you know, you're speaking up, but there's so many people behind you being your best supporter.
Yeah.
And I know you show a lot of gratitude to those.
Yeah, mate. I said it even before all this, like toughness that she shows. I mean, Natalie, she's a professional contemporary dancer, and she moved away down to London at 16 to do a professional training at like a prestigious contemporary dance school. So I guess she's had that similar sort of like rites of passage,
Yeah.
but they live in a completely different world to what a rugby league player lives in. You know, it's a sense of dedication, a sense of like uncompromising.
Yeah.
There's an uncompromising nature to it of what she's, you know, gone through.
Yeah.
But then I guess it's you know, being a dancer's expressing yourself in it, and so she's got that side of it, which I guess rugby players don't tend to go into.
Yeah.
But she's shown a steel of resilience and unconditional support.
Yeah.
You know, which I'm lucky to have. I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have her. You know, that's another thing with these injuries. It doesn't just stop you playing your sport. It doesn't just stop you doing other things outside your sport, but it also stops other people doing what they love as well. Because Natalie,
of course,
Natalie's, you know, she took time out from dancing with the stress of it. But you know, it's life, innit? You know, I'm not saying that it's all easy and it's all great, but you know, there's people have stresses and people have hard times from any walk of life and any direction. So, you know, we're all right. You know,
love's powerful though, man. Love's
yeah.
When you love someone, it's powerful. You'll do anything for that person. She's obviously a strong woman. So
yeah,
don't know, but good job because he's a pain in the ass.
I know, yeah. But she knows that.
But you know, obviously now, obviously going from a full contact sport and exercising all the time, and you know, a part of well-being and lifestyle and health and whatnot, you know, whatever label you want to chuck on top of it, exercise is a very important part. Obviously for a while you couldn't exercise or anything. Have you got to that, where you at now with obviously doing those things, you know? Are you still getting any form of?
Yeah, so I can exercise a bit now. It don't mean that it comes pain-free though. But going from about 6 months ago when I just didn't even bother, I'd just go for walks. And sometimes I'd come back dizzy from walks. Now I can exercise.
Yeah.
And I can do a little bit of a bike session. I still get stuff, but I do weights. You know, I'll try to do weights, and it's light weights, but I'll get this like pressure in my head and this feeling like my tongue's disconnected to.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like a weird sort of like, it takes so much out of me now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like before it'd be like, I'd be on with day and
Yeah.
it takes a lot out of me now, but I know that I need to stay somewhat flipping, looking like a human being and also feeling like one as well, you know, because it makes you feel good.
Of course.
You know, it makes me feel good. Like, so it's like, I'll take some symptoms, but also I'll take the feeling, the endorphins from it as well. You know what I mean? So
I think you've always been able, this probably comes back to sports again, but you've been able to, you know, tolerate, because you've had so many injuries and surgeries, your tolerance to pain is probably a lot higher than the average Joe.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this now, you're willing to tolerate a bit of pain where other people probably won't be able to tolerate that pain.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's
a good point.
You know
I think my tolerance has improved
Mm.
over the time, and I think also I've just switched that tolerance on.
Mm.
Like as a rugby player, you have to. You'll know you can't. You have to get to a point where you can't allow pain to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a sicko, I think. Do you know? Like
Yeah.
I'd love to know if you could change heads. Do you know what I mean? And you could put someone in my body
And just say,
yeah, and get some of my mental pain as well.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
some of the physical pain, the thoughts that I have,
yeah,
and the symptoms, and it'd be ace for someone to experience it. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could get to that point?
Yeah, that's what
people could understand what it's like in someone else's body or shoes.
Oh, massively. I think that now, even with myself doing 3 ACLs in this right knee, and then multiple clean outs, ankle arthroscopes, and then you'll go
3 ACLs and you're flipping playing on.
I know, man.
Class that, innit?
Oh, it is, but
it is.
I suppose it is class, and I think yesterday playing again for Wales was 4 years without playing league, and then going back and played 6 or 7 games this year with my brother in Australia, and playing now against Cook Islands, and I got really actually emotional in the anthem yesterday. I just think of perspective, and you sometimes we're so busy of looking forward. I think sometimes we've got to turn around and realize how far we've gone. Even yourself, Stephen. I got pretty emotional, and then even after the game, I was like, "Wow, I'm grateful for this journey." At one stage, I was resentful, the depression, the anxiety, the suicidal thoughts that you give me, and one thing we're really good at when we're going through these stages is when everything's going down, we tend to keep grabbing things to make it harder for ourselves when we're going down. And but I look back now, man, and it's crazy to think, but that's probably the best thing that ever happened to me. It's made me. I've done a full circle. I think it comes to age as well, but my perspective, on life, I'm so grateful, man, for the life that I got. And find wins in little things now. Just going to walk the dog.
Oh man, 100%.
Just going to catch up and having a good conversation like this. That's far greater than me than buying materialistic things.
Being attached to the ups and well, you get attached to the downs as well, don't you?
Of course. But it's I'm grateful, man. But going back to the injuries, I think, when you go and have you see the physio then in the camp now, and they're like, how's the knee? I was like, well, it's never going to be 100%. But I said, pain wise, it's okay. And they're like, what's okay to you? And you're like,
that's a good question, that.
And I was like, and now you just said that about wish someone just put their head, they're feeling, they feel whatever my body feels. My tolerance is obviously built up, but man, human body can do crazy things.
It does, mate.
Then triathlons and stuff, and come back, and everything happens for a reason. And like you said, this conversation today wouldn't have happened without journeys, brother.
Yeah, I know, man. It's class. It's class. Just a quick one. Mantality has an amazing counselling service. If you weren't aware already, we are meeting the needs of people. We're meeting the needs of people who want to speak to someone, who feel like they are ready to stop doing it tough, to stop doing it on their own. I think counselling comes in when you just feel like you don't know the way forward for yourself. I felt like that many, many times, and I still get counselling because I feel in the future it's going to be a tool that everyone uses. Everyone in America already uses it, and it's such a normal thing. We're just a little bit behind in the UK, but I believe that Mantality and the message that we put out there will enable people to get the guidance that they need and to stop doing it so hard. It's a new movement, and Mantality Counselling is there for you if you want to join in and make the most out of your life and stop being hampered by thoughts and feelings that you want to clear up. Go on to mantality.co.uk/counselling to make a difference.
So obviously for you, man, now, like, where do you find your wins? Where do you find, what what was giving you those buzzes before? What gives you the buzz now?
The wins in between the constant loss. I'm joking.
Not losses,
joking.
Man, the learnings
and the moods and the The wins. Where do I find the wins? I have an ultimate feeling of duty or purpose,
Mm.
which powers through all the other stuff. Do you know?
Mm.
Like, that's what I feel like I have. I feel like I just want human beings to work better with each other. Do you know? And I want to somehow help
Yeah.
relieve suffering. You know, and just allow people to, you know, do all the stuff that you're doing and look at life differently. So that's, you know, having that purpose is. I mean, I'm not really. I don't think I'm scared to die. Do you know what I mean? I don't really think I'm scared. I probably am, but the thought that I have, I don't think I'm scared to die. But that purpose that I have sort of keeps all of that irrelevant. You know what I mean? It keeps it. It keeps me strong, and it keeps me. There's an avenue, or there's a sort of a groove that I get into with that purpose where life is incredible. Do you know what I mean? And it means that I meet new people that are on that purpose, and it means that I can marvel at life. Do you know? I think that's one thing actually.
Yeah.
That I can marvel at life now that I couldn't do 5 years ago. I had a point in my life where it was when I was still playing rugby, but I had the ability to marvel at life. You know, you're talking about walking the dog, and you see the sun come through the trees, or you have an amazing conversation, and you're having a coffee, and it's just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have those moments. I've been able to do that. And that sort of sits in tangent with the purpose. I think when I'm on purpose and I'm living to my values, that's the groove that I love, and that's the groove that works for me. And then there's different things that I do. I think now I went through a period of being really sort of stringent with habits, you know, and putting it in as another limb, if you like, to stand up on. But now I'm just really, that purpose is key and the values are key. And I let that define the direction that I go and the behaviours that I live by. And it's simple really with that. And I try, and there's an amazing quote that I saw not so long ago. And it's open your mind to everything, but attach it to nothing. And it's like, there's that quote that I saw that I'm like, yeah, like the ability to just say how you feel in the moment and to just be honest with how you feel, and to not think that that's the narrative that you have to live by.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's good or bad, and to feel something good and not get hung up on it, and to get hung up on anything the way that you think life should be.
Yeah.
You know, to sort of, you said it earlier, you know, that middle way, or that sort of neutral path. And it's not. I read about it. I've read about it for years and understood it intellectually, but I think I'm starting to understand it lived now. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a different type of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's a different type of experience. Yeah. So yeah, that's a big thing. And I think there's a power in you talk about materialism and stuff. I think there's a power in feeling rich without having to be monetarily rich. 100%. You know, like I wouldn't do anything different now if I had all the money in the world. I don't think I would. Maybe I'd go out and see more people, but I'd do all the same things. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe you come to Australia and jump on my podcast.
Yeah. I'd probably just come over for a weekend to Oz. Do you know what I mean? I'd do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's powerful. That is, Steve.
But it's just these conversations, like, and I think that's the lure as well. I think there's the lure, or there's the desirable thing of trying to achieve something.
Yeah.
And win again at something, or become something, or become someone.
Powerful that is, man.
Yeah, but now I'm all right.
Yeah, I think that as well, though, it comes back to I've learned over time, and probably you have with friendships and even playing in sports, you know, when you're in those realms of being in a team, an environment, it's like a brotherhood, you know.
Yeah.
Your army people talk, but then you move out of it, and unfortunately, the text message might not come as often, the social things. And one thing I've learned over life is everything has an expiration date on it.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that could be a girlfriend at the time, that could be a job or this conversation right now. And if you become selfless to it and realize that this might be our last conversation,
Yeah.
not in a deep format, but this might be our last conversation. So enjoy this moment, be present
Yeah.
as possible,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then think that this, if that happens again, well, that's
It'll be the
beautiful.
last thing we do.
Yeah.
Then if you have that slant on things, then you live it. Then you're actually living it.
Yeah, it's powerful, man.
Yeah.
And that's the same with money. I think, you know, people, even with money, some people are like, you know, hoarders. They just hold on to every penny, this, that, and the other, and they're
Yeah.
tight. This person won't shout a bloody coffee or anything.
Yeah, I've
then-
been there.
Yeah, and then you're like, man, why not? Like, why can't you just be selfless with that
Yeah.
money and give? Because the universe does amazing things, and it comes back in tenfolds
Yeah.
when you surrender to these things.
Surrender. It's a good word.
But it's you only realize that when you've done the opposite of being that tight ass or that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, or chasing. Like I remember one time, like friendship so good that you kind of latch onto it, and the moment you squeeze it, it comes out your hands.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah,
and then you're trying to chase that chemistry, that connection that once was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's this
Yeah.
this podcast has gone everywhere today. But I love it.
Has it gone too deep?
Nah, this is not deep at all. This is not. I love it though, but
Because
oh yeah, it's good though, and I appreciate these chats, you Stevie, and it's good to see. It's really good to see. I was gonna ask you earlier, but ask you now. You know, is there people in your life, mentors or self, that have kind of you've like looked up to or kind of guided you as such?
Yeah, I mean, over many different time spans, you know, like I remember as a young kid playing amateur. We had a great amateur coach called Tim Evans, and he was a role model at one time, you know, and it was class. I remember we used to as like before the game, you know, you do like chants and stuff. I don't know why we've stopped doing that.
Yeah.
They do the hacker now, don't they?
Yeah.
But you used to do chants, and it used to be a team thing, and it used to be hands in or whatever. And I remember growing up and played for Morley Rugby Union for a bit actually, and then I played for Cherwell Chiefs Rugby League. And he was a great guy, and he cared about the team and what it meant. And we used to have this chant. It was he used to by himself go "Wowie," and then everyone would go "Cherwell," and they'd go "Wowie," and then we'd go "Cherwell." And then I ended up doing it. I must have graduated to 10 years. How old was I? 10 years old or something. And then I got to lead it. You know, and you just think about experiences like that, and you know, people allowing that path, you know, to open up. And he always instilled a lot of belief, and always sort of said that I'd get to the top, or I'd get to wherever. You know, at one point he was a really good role model, and then it was sort of presented more with the rugby world, you know. Obviously Kev Sinfield was a massive role model growing up.
Was he more with his words or actions?
What, as a leader, or as a
well, to you as a youngster coming through, like, or would he more
I think
like?
I think it was more actions, and behaviours, I think. But you know, at that same time, mate, you know, getting into that team, I remember warming up at 16 years old, and I'd look around and just starstruck.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was just like, wow. You know, there's like Jamie Peacock and Jamie Jones-Buchanan, Danny Maguire, Rob Burrow. And I was thinking about this the other day. Sometimes watch interviews and I see different people in my interviews. Do you know what I mean? I see, when I'm speaking, I can see what I've picked up from different people.
Habits, yeah.
You know, habits of how I speak and how I present stuff and speak. Jamie Jones-Buchanan and there's Brian McDermott. I'm like, fucking hell.
That's a bit of them in me now.
Yeah. Because I went into this world where you're forming as a person and your brain's still forming. And I'm having these amazing, people and leaders around me. So I took loads of different stuff from all these different people, successful people, hardworking people, funny people. The full team was a role model. Some of them amazing, some of them not so good. You have role models
Yeah, of course.
each way, don't you? So yeah, I guess those were role models to me. And then I think when I understood that I got to a point where that formula wasn't working for me, and then that's when I had to start for survival or for my own sanity. I had to start looking outside of the box and start looking at other influences, I think.
Yeah.
And who those other influences are, I don't know. I mean, I watched Kanye West, and I remember him coming into my life.
What are your thoughts on him?
I just think he's got many thoughts on him, mate.
Yeah.
I've got many thoughts on him.
I think he's like, just on a different spectrum to us.
Yeah, I do.
We can't understand because he's on that next level.
Yeah.
Some of the things he says obviously goes against the grain and he upsets people. I think he said something recently.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about it here, but he says some other things. I'm like, he's just thinking so far outside the box where we are.
100%. He's so far forward, mate. And like he's just saying what he thinks. He's actually saying as he's thinking it, what he thinks, and it's just coming out in rants, in interviews, and he gets stuff wrong. But then I think he can admit that he gets stuff wrong as well. Like I said, I don't think he's attached to anything.
Nah.
I think he's open-minded and he's not attached to anything, which is scary because how can you say this and then say that tomorrow? It's like, well,
he's entitled to whatever he wants to say.
You feel different day to day. I feel different day to day.
And that's it. For instance, right, that's just one thing I've noticed. We all do it, but recently I caught up with Lloyd Ashley.
Yeah.
We've been going for dips in the morning at the beach, and there's this guy that owns this coffee shop, and he's very much into it, and he's very into just more about well-being, but he's very open-minded to everything. And I was speaking to someone about him, and they were like, yeah, he used to be an idiot, so and so, and they used to take drugs and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, yeah, but now that's fine. But that happened how many years ago? 8 years ago. Okay. I just found that on Sundays he takes people, on Sundays he takes the youngsters for a swim in the ocean, the community people. He does this, he's supporting people, he's generating to the community. But we're still holding on to this person that said something or did something 8 years ago.
I know, man.
What does that say about you?
Where's the room to improve there? Yeah.
But that's the thing I'm aware of even now at training sometimes with the boys, right? We're so caught up on the negative, so we can't see past. You might do 99% of your game or life or whatever it is positive, 1% wrong.
I know.
But we're quick to find that 1% wrong. You missed that tackle, or you said this one word on a podcast, but everything else was amazing. But we're quick to, why can't I tell you you're doing amazing? Why is it in our society that we can't tell each other we're doing amazing? But it makes us feel weird because we're not designed or structured to be that way.
I know. Yeah.
What the fuck's that mean?
It's not. Yeah. We're resting on. Oh, it's the human condition, and everything's yin and yang, and everything's, there's duality to everything. There's good and bad. There's black and white, and that's how we perceive stuff in life.
Yeah.
So when you start going through that prism of thought, because that's what it is. It's a way to think. It's not the way that the world is. It's the way that you're thinking about the world. When you start going through it, you go, oh, you understand where we get it wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You understand why we get it wrong. You understand why people think about stuff the way that we do. And, I'm like, it almost, it helps because you can stop caring about what people think then. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not, because you understand the makeup of how people think and the way that the world works, you can forgive it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't jump on your back. Like, I think people, I have no idea I have some idea of what people think about me and the variance of what people think about me. I'm sure some of it's good, some of it's, I think some of it will be great as well. I think some of it will be with my eyes, completely wrong. Or, I think that's a possibility, but I also know that that's life and that's how it
Yeah.
works. You know what I mean? And that's
You're not going to
the
please everyone.
You're not going to please everyone.
And that was something, I remember this one time when I started the business, Walkers Only, putting my opinion out there and not editing anything, just being true to myself. And then I started, being more active on social media. And that's something I was never really something I thought of. And every time I post something, I'd be like, fuck, someone's going to laugh or someone's going to take the piss out of someone. And because you're so conditioned at rugby training, the boys are just taking the piss all the time. And then I remember speaking to a good friend of mine about it. And he was like, fuck it. And as soon as he said that to me, he's like, who cares?
Yeah, man. No.
Who cares? And I was like, yeah, I'm telling people out there, I know. But the thing is, man, no one who's doing more than you will talk shit about you. Some of the people doing less than you will talk shit about you.
Yeah.
And the people, sometimes it's the people in your circle sometimes talking that about you. And the people you don't know, your biggest fans.
Yeah.
And I've just got so much admiration for you, man.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
And like, generally, man, like it's truly amazing to see what you're doing, who the person you are today, and just keep leading. Because there needs to be more people like you out there. And someone still so young to be so open. Like, where are you going to be at in mid-30s, 40s? That's, you know what I mean? It's exciting.
It is. And then I don't know. Fuck knows where I'll be. There's probably going to be a lot more pain. There's going to be a lot of hardship. And there's going to be but yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know where life's going to go. I don't really.
You don't need to know though.
No.
Keep doing what makes you happy.
I know that's what. There's no future at the minute anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's where we are right now that matters to me.
Yeah.
And what we do in the moment, and there's that, like we say, that carving that middle way out, that middle path, which can be carved with different tools. A lot of it's fueled by experience, but you mentioned it, the journaling, the meditation, the loving kindness meditation, the walks, the counselling, the speaking, all that propels you to a better, I want to say a better place, but it's not a better place because it's forever evolving. It's just a better path. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it is. And if you're scared to do that, or you think it's weird, or you think it's daft, or you think it's like not going to work, then that's the first thing that you need to work on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's your biggest fear now?
Hurting people.
Hurting people?
Yeah.
Explain that.
I don't know, I think it's very, at the minute, it's like, especially with rugby and the journey that rugby's on at the minute, people are really raw with it. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of stuff that's coming out in the media, and there's a lot of fear. And I think people, you're talking about the perceptions, and there are probably clips from this podcast that we put out, and people make their mind up or attached to the way to either way whatever I'm saying, because that's just how it works now, which is just bonkers, isn't it? I think if we could just have the all podcasts, it'd be good, wouldn't it? But yeah, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want people to feel hurt by the change that's happening. Yeah, I think there's a lot of change, and in my eyes, the biggest change that'll happen is that there's a reduction of contact and stuff like that. Which
in the game, or as in training, the load in training.
Yeah, in the load in training, and
that's a no-brainer though.
It's a no-brainer.
Happen.
Yeah.
Okay, stats are showing that this is happening. X, Y, and Z. There's more concussions. There's more the potential of the people putting X, Y, and Z against rugby league, rugby union, NFL, contact sports. Okay, how can we do this as a committee or an industry? How do we lower the stance? Okay, well, instead of an hour and a half of contact, let's drop it down to one or two nights a week of contact, but
Control.
Control contact.
Yeah.
Instead of just going 10 meters out, whacking each other.
I know.
How about we go a meter away, slow contact, take them down the floor, peel
It's
away.
easy, mate. It's easy. It's easy. But there's, yeah, I guess it goes into that paradigm. But yeah, I don't know. The question, I guess, was it, what was I fear? I guess I've been hurt. Do you know what I mean? And felt a lot of pain and stuff. And I don't want. I
Yeah.
just feel compassion. Do you know that I don't want other people to
Yeah.
feel pain.
But it comes from a place of care.
Yeah.
If you really think about what you just said then,
Yeah.
it comes to a place I would never want someone else to go through what I've gone through.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. It's not as if I'm gonna leave this
Yeah.
room and go and hurt people
Nah.
and cause uproar and damage and stuff. Yeah, it's from a place of care, 100%.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, ask me that same question tomorrow. I might have a different answer.
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. I just think the thing it comes back to, man, just like all of us, and this is me saying something that is reflecting straight in the mirror to myself. Just live with no fear, and just make sure you're doing something that's true to yourself.
Yeah,
And that's being you, so you can upset people on the way.
I know. It's true, mate. It's true. You know, you've done some work, haven't you? When did this happen?
I think when I left rugby league, and I kind of had to reinvent the wheel a bit.
Yeah.
And
when was that? What?
Well, it would have been 4 or 5 years ago. So it was, long story short,
So when you saw Mantality and that, what did you think? Was that before it?
I think no, it was after Mantality. So you come over to Australia,
Yeah.
and I was just coming out my second knee reco then, and everything going good because I was fit, active, and I was going back to playing the time for East Tigers
Yeah.
in Australia, and I was like, yeah, everything's going well. My body's good, so my mind was healthy, but I'd never. And then when I went back, I split up with my girlfriend at the time. It was long-term relationship, bought a house together, and then we split up, and we were going through that. But rugby was my outlet to get away from that.
Yeah.
And then I went back to playing sports, and within half a season, I did my ACL again for the third time. In that process, found a new person. It was a rebounder. Yeah, after the last surgery, it was extremely hard, and I knew that time I was done.
ACL was a bit of pill to swallow, innit?
Yeah, well,
3 times as well.
Yeah, well, the third time was they had to drill because it was already 2 holes in my knee from the 2 last surgeries. The third one was the third hole, and the guy who was explaining, the surgeon was like, "Well, put in this perspective, you wouldn't drill into a timber of wood as a carpenter if it had 3 holes in it because it's going to split." So he's like, what we need to do is break your patella, use that, fill it into the previous holes like a fill-in, like a tooth, wait 6 months for it's healed, and then go again and do the patella reco. And like just all these issues come to the surface. I think then at myself, I started really opening up and trying to figure out life. And on that journey then, I've gained new friends, I've gained new connections, and I've lost friends on the way. But like I said, it comes back to exploration, and learning that as long as you're being true to yourself, like that's all you can be. I don't want to fit into life.
Just got to listen to yourself, man.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, I just think, spending long enough time on your own and getting comfortable with yourself. I've realized that I could be in a room full of people and feel alone, or I can be on my own and feel so happy.
Yeah.
Those situations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
And I think, I suppose, I've done some work on myself, and so have you. And I think everyone's done it herself, but it's like I'm that type of person who just I don't scratch the surface. I just keep digging, keep digging, and I want to find out what true meaning of life and true meaning of connection is. And I'm mindful now of people in my circle, and I've had some great mentors, and a saying one of my mentors said to me once was, "Show me your friends, I'll show you your future."
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, wow. She's like, so if you're going to go out with people partying all the time, you're going to become that person. If you're going to go out with people take drugs, you're going to be that. Or you're going to hang out with people who look forward in life, are excited and supporting you and want the best for you, and they want the best for me, then we're looking in life in a positive mindset. So if you think about that and that concept, Steve, like I was like, okay, I need to make some changes. Sometimes that, like I said, I'm trying not to go too deep, but it was kind of like, it was just, I think, being away, being in Australia for over 10 years now,
Yeah.
there are lonely times because, you know, it's just the way it is. Like, I think we're, you know, you living in Leeds as such, everyone knows everyone as such, you know, obviously not exactly, but you can sometimes get comfortable in where you're born,
Yeah.
you're brought up in this area, your mum and dad don't live far away, aunties and
Yeah,
uncles.
100%.
You've always got that support network
100%.
until you don't have it. So I think that was a learning curve for me. But man, like I said, I'm so grateful of this journey.
Yeah, you've done it tough, mate. Especially, you know, you say technology. Oh, it's not far because of technology. Everyone's asleep when you're awake, so it doesn't matter about technology.
But I don't feel sorry about it, Steve. Like, don't ever feel sorry. And no, like for instance, no one should ever feel sorry about you. It's nothing worse than you going back to Leeds and the players kind of like, how you doing, Steve?
Yeah,
You all right, mate? You're like, fuck, I'm good, mate.
Good. Yeah, I'm
you know what I mean?
miles better.
Yeah. I'm just, like, and one thing I've learned since I've been home is like, want the best for people. If they're not in, we've got this thing, if someone's doing well in life, we're resentful for them for doing well. Why? They're not even in our lane. You're doing this. I'm in a different lane to you. Who cares? Let's support that guy. Envy does nothing, man. And all it does is causes something for yourself. You're 100%. Holding this pain. Do you know? So
100%.
Yeah, it's I just want everyone to do well. I want everyone to succeed in whatever they do. And if you don't, then try something else that makes you happy.
It's a good place, that.
I think you just got to live life that way, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so it's this conversation's been awesome because it's I didn't know where it was going to go today, and I didn't even I know your journey, but I was like, I'm not this person who's going to go date this when it's
no, it's like, it's just, I think those are just events. Do you know what I mean? Like you say, they're just events, and then
I
think they're always the good thing, if you can get it, is just what the ideas are now. You know what I mean? I think that's what you want to hear, innit?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, where it's at, what's going on. Do you know, like, you can, you know, people can look at a bio, or you can do it on an intro or something. Do you know what I mean? About, oh, he's done it, but that's what I think anyway. I know people want to hear the narrative, don't they, in the story, but I want to know what people think about stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. That's what really interests me. Like, what they think about it. And, you know, we talk about Kanye West, like, I just want to know why is he saying this, and what does he think? And where's it going to lead to? You know, the world is just closing in, and everything's joining up. So everything's like, you know, it's just immediate, innit?
Yeah.
You know, you can watch Kanye West instantly. It's watching him have a conversation with Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, whoa, its frequency is crazy at the minute.
Well, even Piers Morgan, I like him, but some people might not like him.
Yeah.
I like him because he just shoots from the hip.
I like him, and I don't like him as well. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I watch him, and this is the thing as well, like, you know, I make sure that I watch different news sources and look at different things, because you can agree with a lot of them anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you watch them and you understand what they're coming from, that's where you need to exercise some rationality and think, right, what he's just said and I've agreed with, is that the truth? Is there what's the evidence for what he's said? Is there any evidence? Is that just what you think?
Yeah.
And then you watch another news source, and, you know, from left wing to right wing, you can bounce around, and I just think it's interesting just to understand not necessarily what they're thinking, but how they're thinking about stuff. That's what intrigues me at the minute. And from what place are they thinking what they are thinking?
Yeah.
You know, that's why I love Kanye West. Well,
yeah.
I love it to try and understand it. Which, like you say, I don't think anyone can understand. But I watch him in interviews, mate, and you can see the creativity kicking off in his head. Just like,
he's thinking always, isn't he?
Always.
Constantly.
He's just got this, like, you can just see his mind working, and he's answering a question, and he'll have a song come into his head, and he'll say the song, and he'll make a rhyme out of an answer, and then he'll back it up with some valid point, and And then sometimes he'll sound like, what is he? He'll sound crazy. He'll sound a little bit crazy. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's towing a line, you know? I think he's towing a line of, you know, I know he's got bipolar, but I do agree that the categorization of stuff and the labels of stuff can be used by other people, even if someone who's crazy says something really valid. Sometimes you don't listen to the valid point. You just say, "Oh, it's crazy." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man.
So, I just enjoy that, mate. I just enjoy it, and I just enjoy thinking about stuff, but not having thoughts. It's like Rudyard Kipling say, "Think, but don't have thoughts as your master." Just flipping, let it go, and just carry on, crack on.
I like that, man.
Yeah,
you've done a lot of work as well, man. You've read up, you've done your thing. I think the thing about you, man, is you're probably keeping your mind so busy and sounds like you're just challenging yourself all the time, internally, mentally.
Challenging myself all the time, mate, and I love it. I love it. I love challenging myself for what I think and what I say and how I feel. You can get sticky at times, and you can be a bit like, you know, where's the foundation here? Do you know what I mean? If you open it up so much,
of course,
it can be. You can be a little bit lost, but yeah, that's what I love, mate. You know, and having this conversation, because I can feel that you're someone who does the same. It's class.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As I say, those rigid tackle bags that you run through, that if you use it as a metaphor for the pillars of thinking and the way that you must react to something because of who you are or what you represent and what you do and all that, like, I find it much more interesting to bypass them sometimes. Think from different points of view.
Mate, what's something I'm interested with is something I'm interested in as well is with Mantality. Like, what's next for Mantality?
What's next for Mantality? I just think generally, there's a space. We were talking about that culture thing, you know, we're talking about that need for this vulnerable and open way of being to be accessible, you know, and normalized. I think it'd solve a lot of issues, preventative issues. You know, you think specifically in sport, you know, you're talking about that example of the mental health talk where no one had the capability to do it, but imagine at 18 years old where they've been learning that capability growing up. I think there's a need there for it, 100%. And you know how that works and how it looks, I'm not sure, but I know that there's a need there, and that, you know, I think sits alongside. These are all fresh thoughts, by the way. So, but I think that sits alongside the concussion stuff and just well-being stuff, just looking after people stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's the sort of real impact that I can see happening, whether that's me or whether that's someone else. I think that's what's needed.
I love that.
Yeah,
man, keep doing your journey. That's all all I want to know. And
that's all I can keep doing.
It's good, and you know, it makes you happy, and it's giving you a purpose, and that's what it's all about. Something that instead of on a Monday morning you're going, shit, I gotta go to work. You're like, shit, I've got to go to work. I've got so and so meeting. I've got this meeting coming up. You know, and that's part of the thing. Essentially, with what I do with Walkers Only, with a lot of our clients, is helping them perform at their, you know, optimization of fulfillment. If that's in work, getting excited about
100%.
you know, what they want to do in life instead of just doing that mundane job because society told them to do it. Like we're so content on wanting to chase the money. But like in a long-term time, for instance, if you're not really content in what you're doing in work, 5-10 years time, you're going to be way off the mark and you're not going to care about it anymore. And then you're going to get to a stage of life where you're not even happy about what you're doing, and you've left it too late to actually change your decision making. So it's kind of like, okay, well, let's be true to yourself now. Do we take a step backwards now and try and figure out where you want to go, what you want to do, what you're passionate about, and then put some steps in place, structure in place to get to that area,
Yeah.
or do you just be miserable later on in life?
Continue on that.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's what I mean. You doing this, man, makes me happy.
Yeah.
Really does.
Even having the path is liberating, innit? Do you know what I mean? You don't have to flipping change everything overnight. Do you know what I mean? And I think people think that it's like it's this or that, or no, it's just opening up to it is the joy of it and the journey or the process of it. You know, don't have to. You don't have to be at a destination with it. You just have to.
Yeah,
just
know that you planted the seed and you're putting one step forward in that direction. The goal might be here. You might take that step and go right a bit, and then you go left a bit, and you're trying to find that place, but you'll get there some stage if you just keep turning up.
Yeah, like I don't like. I used to use meditation as like a medicine. You know, like my mind would be everywhere. So I'd use it as a medicine, and like, right, I need to sit down, do 20 minutes, and try and get into a place where I'm a bit freer and less hung up on stuff. Then I started using it as a routine, and the word routine just isn't nice, is it? It just don't make it feel. But now I do it because I like it.
I like it, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't meditate to get anywhere. I just meditate to meditate and practice doing nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. It's a physical act of coming away from that constant conveyor belt that we have in our mind, which is the next thing, the next thing. Oh, I just can do nothing. It's all right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is for me, anyway. You know, and
with your with all everything you've gone through, obviously with concussions and the head knocks, I'm not saying I'm advising it, but have you ever looked down the path of, like, you know, maybe natural stuff like mushrooms or psychedelics or anything like that? Has that ever come to your mind?
Oh, I mean, it's spoken about a lot in it. You know, there's I did an interview with Dan Carcillo, who's the ex-NHL, and he talks about it a lot. So, I mean, maybe it's an option. It's an option in the future, maybe.
Yeah.
What have you thought about it?
I've tried like microdosing on mushrooms, but to be honest, it didn't really do anything to me. I don't think I was taking enough, and it was more. It was a Monday, I take it on a Wednesday and a Friday, and I did it for like 2 weeks, and I was just like, nah, this is not doing it for me. But I'd say about 4 years ago, I tried. I don't want to sound like a typical Joe Rogan person here. I tried DMT.
Yeah.
And at a stage, I was always curious, and I was like, one of my good friends in Australia, he's Irish, and he was like, man, I've tried it, like I've done this, and he's done it so much, and he's learned a lot about it. So I was always just, I mean, like you, Stevie, we're interested people. We love stories told to us, and I was just sitting there like a kid in a candy store, just like
listening to his stuff.
Oh, just learning and listening, and he taught, and I think I learned a lot off him. And anyway, so he goes, you should maybe look into it and give it a go. And I never took any psychedelics at this stage in my life. I said, oh, all right, let's do it. And then impulsively, I was like, yeah, let's do it. We'll do it on a Friday or Saturday so I can relax. Whatever happens then. And I was fearful because you don't know when you do these things, you know, they say they can go one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's fearful, and it's that someone tells you it's a state of no return, you know, in some stages. So you're building up this thing. So anyway, we were home in my house and put meditation music on, and he set it all up, and I did it, and I just lied back on my settee, and I just remember closing my eyes, and all these amazing colors just hit my eyes, like all this. They weren't saying nothing. No, they weren't. There was no words, but the colors meant something. And I sound like a weirdo. Just probably, if you haven't done it before, you wouldn't. It come across weird. But then basically, I had this like a woman, Egyptian woman. I remember it, and she just kind of put her hand out like this to me. And it was like, just follow me. And I grabbed her hand, and this is all me, my eyes closed. And we just went into this realm, and it was my brain. And she just pulled it out like a filing cabinet. And I remember her just going like this with her fingers, like and she just went 2 steps back and pulled out this folder. And in that folder, there was an image of me in my rugby kit. And she just went over to it and just unzipped it from the arse to my toes. And the uniform, my rugby kit, just fell off. And it was as if she goes, without the word, she goes, you're not defined by that person. That's not who you are. Like, you're this person, this natural naked person. That's who you are. And don't get attached to that. And there was a few other things that I seen in that time, you know, and anyway, it was only 15 minutes long, but it felt like I did about 15 years of therapy. It was crazy.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I woke out, I come out of it and I remember just laughing, crying, happy. And I was like, whoa. And I think for about 2-3 days after, I was just like, what the heck did I just experience?
Yeah.
And it wasn't as if then though, like, you know, I had all the answers, but it was as if, all right, well, you know, this is where the work starts.
Yeah.
And it was just like that, Stevie.
Yeah.
And it was crazy, man. It was crazy, but I'm you know, I remember the woman in there goes, you don't need to do this again. So it wasn't as if, you know, people get hooked on cocaine, heroin.
Yeah.
It was just like, it's medicine. If you see it as medicine, natural medicine. So yeah.
There's nothing addictive about it, is there?
Nah.
It's non-toxic. Mushrooms and even LSD. It's non-toxic. And it's, I think, from what I've seen and what I've heard, it's how you go into it and what you look for, you know, or what you think you want, you know. Fuck, that sounds mega. That.
Yeah.
That's mad. What else did she bring up for you?
I was like going through, like,
did time feel warped?
Oh, it felt like I was in there forever, but it was only 15 minutes. And then I seen, like, you know, things to do with relationships. And I remember the just woman telling me, stop being so hard on yourself. Just stop being so hard on yourself. Just remember that. It's hard because it's hard to put into words, but it was just, yeah, it was crazy, man. And I'm never an advocate to tell people, do it.
Yeah.
But if you ever felt like this curiosity to do it, maybe do it in the right environment and whatnot. And yeah, man, it was crazy. But like you said, I'm not saying it might be different to someone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, but if I wanted to get out of that 15 minutes, there was no chance. It was like, you got to let go.
Yeah.
Like bang. Yeah. And then it was crazy.
Sick guy.
Brother, we could go on for ages. I don't know how long this has been going for, but how long?
For a long time, an hour and a half.
That's what I mean. That's
shit.
We've just scratched the surface.
There you go. I know, mate.
Mate, I just want to ask you before we wrap this up. I always ask my guests, what are you grateful for?
This conversation. Yeah. This connection again. Grateful for it, mate. It's fucking good. It's good fun. And just the ability to do this. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm grateful for.
Thank you, brother. That really means a lot to me. And I'm grateful for this, you know, just seeing your journey from knowing you back in 20s, living with old Bob Pickles and Diane.
Yeah, mate. How long ago is that now? That's over 10 years?
Yeah, well, I was
over 10 years?
17, 18 when I went there, and I'm 29 now. So yeah, while.
And we're playing halfbacks.
Yeah. It was good times, and just like, I think our friendship over time has probably grown in a more of a different. It wasn't just rugby then; it was rugby then, but now it's more. I'm grateful for this journey you're doing, man, and
rugby's got us to here,
and I'm happy for that. But I'm excited for what I've got ahead and what you've got ahead.
You know, when you're younger and you think of life after rugby,
yeah,
you don't think of. You have no fucking idea, do you, of what life's gonna be?
No.
Well, even just generally, you don't have an idea what life's going to be, do you? Because you just can't. You can't understand it, but it gets different. Doesn't it?
Brother, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, my man. Cheers, brother.
Thank you.